Protests have torn apart Ferguson, Missouri over the last few months. The demonstrations escalated for 2 nights after Monday's decision by a grand jury not to indict Officer Darren Wilson in Michael Brown's death. Tensions still divide the primarily black community and its mostly white police force. Mark Strassmann is in Ferguson and spoke to leaders on both sides. Mark, good morning.
Good morning. You hear people here complain that there are 2 major missing pieces in this community: no local leaders that everyone trusts, and 2 separate worlds that seldom talk to each other. So we invited 2 local leaders for a conversation.
Ferguson burned this week. The spark was a grand jury decision, but the fuel was decades in the making.
I'm going to say this real gingerly. I don't condone violence, but right now I can appreciate it. I can appreciate it because it's got the attention of the world.
Pastor Robert White leads a coalition of 35 ministries in St. Louis. Many of them have participated in peaceful protests this week. We sat down with Pastor White and Detective Gabe Crocker, president of the St. Louis County Police Association. The group represents 2,500 officers, including Darren Wilson.
When Michael Brown and Darren Wilson met that day, it wasn't just an issue of black and white. It was an issue of misinformation and distrust.
Police officers, do they by and large trust the kids in the street?
It's just something that we're a long way from.
Do those kids trust police officers?
The bottom line is no, there is no trust. There's a huge gap between the civilians and not only police officers, but elected officials. When we talk about the St. Louis region, it's a big gap of trust on all levels.
Why Ferguson? Why such an intense reaction?
It has to do with the fact that Michael Brown was unarmed. It has to do with the fact that he was black and Officer Wilson was white.
Those communities or those neighborhoods didn't just come by happenstance. They've been boxed in. And so if you continuously do that to a community, you're going to create that crime-rich environment.
I just don't think everything is the fault of the police.
Absolutely.
But I also don't think it's the fault of young black males who are disproportionately involved in crime. It's a problem of getting these 2 entities to come together at the table and go, how in the hell do we fix this?
There were clear differences, but the 2 men actually had a lot of things that they found common ground about. It was the first time the 2 of them had ever met.
Mark, thanks.